Hey everybody, we're back over here in Building B and want to talk just a little bit about grounds. And Herman, this is a thing we see every week, at least once a week, sometimes multiple times. And you see it a lot more with people that have bought Vintage Air, Dakota Digital, Classic Instruments, some kind of electrical or some kind of drivability upgrade. And used to, when you talked about a ground, well, you took an eyelet, put a screw through it somewhere into the kick panel area, and voila, you were good to go. Well, that's a little different in today's technology. And we all do it. I'm just as guilty. We've powder coated the frame, we've painted the underside of the car, we've on up underneath the dash, the back side of the dash, and then we've either put some kind of updated gauge system or air conditioning, or we've bought a reproduction gauge like this particular one from OER. And things are different. The electronics are different. They've updated this gauge to where it's got, and you can't see it without obviously taking it apart, but instead of the old resistance coils like we used to use on fuel gauges, they're using a circuit board now, and they've made the product better, but at the same time, we have made it a little bit more difficult now for the end user that doesn't understand that. And the big thing, Herman, is like this one here.
Well, the average person doesn't really understand that the new reproduction gauges, how important it is to have that gauge grounded to the dash cluster, and the dash cluster be grounded to the body of the vehicle. And I understand you've got everything pretty. I'm just as guilty as everybody about having everything nice and pretty and painted and detailed, but somewhere, someplace, you've got to have a ground, and it ain't going to ground through paint. It's got to be grounded bare metal. Whether you like it or not, that's the way it's got to be. So this gauge, for example, right here, if you were putting that in a vehicle, the body, the metal portion of that gauge has to be grounded to bare metal on the body of the vehicle. It's not going to work. And
or it's not going to read properly, that's for sure.
Yep. It's unbelievable how many gauges that we have had sent back to us, and I'm the guy that always gets them, and I'm the guy that tests them. And even though you've been told numerous times over the phone, you got to have it grounded, they're not listening. And I test it. I do a video of it being tested, and I'll usually text that video to that customer. Then someone finally gets it. So I can't stress again how important it is to have that grounded.
And then also having this grounded, once this is in place here, but like you said, grounding this back to the body. And what works even better is if you're, especially if you're doing something custom, and you can use a grounding box and then ground everything back to the battery. Mm-hmm. And that works even better, especially, and if you'll read the instructions like on a Vintage Air kit, they stress that about grounding it back to the battery. And we can go on and on and on and on and on and on, but folks, ground is it's important. And I want to share just a very quick funny story from American Auto Wire. And this was a story that we were at a school and they showed us the picture of it to prove it, but they kept having a guy and they kept telling him he's having a grounding issue. And he said, well, I've got it grounded. I'm going to prove it to you. I'll send you a picture. So he did. And folks, may he strike me down.
True story.
If I'm lying. The guy had driven a piece of what looked like angle iron into the ground and had a jumper cable hooked to it, to the rocker panel. Not even joking. So that's not what we're talking about when we're talking about grounding. We're talking about grounding back to the body, the chassis, and the battery. So again, ground. That is the key to success when using gauges or drivability upgrades.